Greetings, salutations, happy Friday, August the 21st, 2026. Welcome to Backstage, the daily show for entrepreneurs, founders, visionaries, and builders ready to stop waiting in the wings and let their stories power their growth. Happy Friday. I hope you're enjoying your life and your activity wherever you may be. You might be in Asia, where it is the evening and cruising into the weekend already, or you're in Europe and you're in the afternoon, a little bit ahead, or you're here on the East Coast in the U.S. and it's in the morning first thing, or the West Coast really early morning, and we're just getting going on this Friday, and no day is wasted, and we do this thing one day at a time. All right, what is the topic today? Do you watch YouTube? If you are a consumer of YouTube and you watch any kind of videos about YouTube, then you may already know that YouTube changed its metrics for views and monetization. So they're making monetization much more harder, the threshold higher, and they're making their view count, at least on the front end, much easier. Now you think, all right, this isn't this. Look, I'm bringing this up because this is super relevant to our normal topics about meaning and storytelling and building your business based on helping people understand meaning better, understand their world and their business better, right? Iconic messaging that lands and is memorable and shareable. So why is this important? Well, just indulge me for a couple of minutes, and I promise it'll make sense if it doesn't already. So this is an article. I'm referring to an article by Digiday published yesterday, but frankly, I already knew all this stuff because if you watch YouTube, there's a million YouTube videos about it right now because the YouTube world is freaking out that YouTube is changing its standards. So beginning August 24, YouTube will count a public video view from the moment playback starts, bringing its headline metric closer to TikTok and Instagram. So in other words, someone clicks on your video, you get a count. It doesn't have to last for a particular length of time. So someone could click on it and go, ugh, and leave, and it's still counted. So it's going to make everybody's views higher. The old threshold becomes an engaged view inside of analytics. So you'll still be able to go in and see someone, how much actual engagement you got. But at the same time, YouTube is going to make its partner program, meaning the program that pays its creators from AdSense, okay, from AdSense. It also pays some from the premium YouTube as well for people who don't watch the ads. But anyway, so that program's getting much harder as of February of next year, 2027. They're going to double the long form watch hour and shorts view requirements for new entrants. And they're going to require that for shorts to make money, you have to keep your numbers up. You can't achieve it and then drop and you got to keep rolling. You've got to become a professional content creator, and if you don't see the incentives here, if your goal is to make money directly from YouTube, you run the risk, unless you're quite serious about it, of being sucked into their incentives in a way that makes you slavish towards YouTube potentially. And that's why we all need to be thinking very carefully right now, if you're running a business, about how these platforms are moving you psychologically towards serving them as opposed to you serving your business. Now, those two things may be in alignment, but what people don't understand going into it is the amount of time and effort it's going to take for you to start making a little bit of money. And it's a lot. Now, if you're 25 and you've got limited debt and you kind of don't need a whole lot of money and you got a lot of time and you got your phone and you want to vlog or you want to just constantly pump out videos, great. But for a lot of people, it's just not practical. And this isn't me arguing against putting content on YouTube. What I'm talking about writ large is the trap of the social media hamster wheel, because we have to understand what these companies want for you. They want you to make them money. So these view counts on YouTube are going to make people feel good about how many people clicked on their video. It might be more a function of how well your thumbnail did as opposed to the content. A lot of the thumbnails aren't, you click on a thumbnail, it's not actually what they talk about, or the hook doesn't pay off. It's a scandalous thing. You click on it and there's nothing scandalous about it, right? There's no secret revealed, really. Watch to the end for the secret. There's no secret. I mean, come on. This isn't going to last for very long. This can't go on forever in that sense. But they're going to count those, so everyone's going to feel good about how many numbers. You go on LinkedIn, it's like, how many impressions did my post get? Well, I mean, boy, that data is, it is mild in terms of its value. So post, but this is what I'm seeing. You are competing in your mind with content creators who are spending all of their time creating content for the very platform that you're aspiring on. And that standard is totally unrealistic. So you need to be thinking and writing and producing. This podcast is one of my versions of it. So right now, 5 days a week, I'm questioning myself. What am I thinking about right now? Where's my attention, at least partially? What could I share that would be valuable? I can keep this pace for the moment. I can do this first thing in the morning, or usually every morning. Now, if I wanted to, I could take this podcast and, with some assistance, repurpose it for other social media platforms. And I may or may not do that. But that's what it is. Now, writing is the other one. If you write a little bit every day or very frequently, but doing that, repurposing it, and getting on with building real relationships with other people in real life, going to your networking group, breakfast club, your church group, your prayer breakfast, if that's your thing, wherever people gather where you can build real relationships, that's where you want to be spending more of your time, especially in the first few years of your business, because there is, in law, we call it an attractive nuisance, meaning if you maintain a pond and there's an alligator in the pond, or maybe there's no alligator, it's just a pond, and it looks really beautiful, but it's a drowning trap. Kids might walk by and see the water, want to jump in it, and they might die, and you might be liable for that, right? There's a legal principle called it's a situation in tort called attractive nuisance. And I kind of think social media is akin to a bit of an attractive nuisance. It looks, you look on there and you're like, wow, these people are killing it. And then you start trying to become that. And you're not even setting out to be like a Kardashian, right? But in your head, you're judging yourself by a standard that's totally unrealistic. And listen, I'm not preaching out of condescension. I'm preaching out of finding myself in that psychological trap multiple times. Because on the platform, that's what it's rewarding. We are so sensitive to reward systems. So we use these systems, but they are like drugs. They need to be used with a doctor's care and with a lot of intention and for the right motives. And I would say, unless everything else is humming and you have a lot of time to really focus on what it means to be a content creator for Instagram, for example, which is distinct from YouTube and distinct from LinkedIn and distinct from TikTok, unless you have just scads of time and you really want to become a celebrity of sorts or a well-known figure on these platforms, then find a medium for expressing your ideas and cultivating them. It could be a podcast where you interview people. It could be that you write every day. It could be that you do a little pod like this, just you, and limit it. I don't spend a lot of time outside of the morning few minutes that it takes me to finish my research, decide what it is I'm going to focus on. I have a very efficient process for posting it within minutes of me finishing, and I'm done. I'm done. And then the next day, I do it again. And I've set an automatic search for articles on various topics. And ChatGPT runs that search, and I read through it, and I go, this is mostly garbage today, and then I'll talk about something else, or, I'll run a different search just to see what's out there, see if there's anything new on anything that I'm interested in. But it can be very efficient. So developing your system that works for you, that maximizes your ability to continue to cultivate and share your ideas, and also come into your persona, and I'm over time, but I just want to wrap up with this. Some of these people that appear to be looking really great on social media, it's taken years and years and years of developing their persona on that platform. And have you ever watched the pilot episode of the first season of like a sitcom from the 90s? And the show just looks flat. It's got a few moments, few beats. But a couple of seasons in, they're humming, right? Because if you watch Seinfeld, for those over a certain age, if you watch Seinfeld, the character Kramer was a different character in the first year. By the second, third year, Kramer became Kramer as we know him. I mean, just wacky. The actor was figuring out who he was. And that is very much like the comedian who goes on the road and does all the dive bars and figures out who they are on stages before they get their big HBO or Netflix special, right? We're no different. You need a sandbox to do your ideas, to express your ideas, to share your ideas, see how they land for you. Ideally, then see how they land for other people, and try and figure out how you can go deeper into it so that you're pulling out more, as I say, marrow out of it, the stuff that really counts. And your differentiator, the value. How are you going to help people see, understand, and operate better in a world that is confusing, volatile, and very, very challenging? I think that's really all of our roles. All right. So I'm going to leave it there. What does that bring up for you? Have you optimized the time and attention you're giving to using social media platforms, or are you being used by the social media platforms? That's the question. Which one is it? And it's just about intention. If you want to be a content creator on social media, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying it's a different thing than using social media for your business for most people, especially in the early days. If you are providing like legit professional services, you will not have enough time to really learn it unless you have help. And so one of the things I really enjoy doing is maximizing the benefit of that and minimizing the amount of time and effort put on it. All right, I'll leave it there. Have a great weekend. Share your thoughts, your questions, how you see this, especially on Substack, where you can leave comments. Give it a like, share it with a friend. Be good to yourself and others. And we will check back again with you on Monday. Bye-bye for now.